I remember 15-year-old smart Mark Rob being like, oh no, I'm really worried. Are they going to keep my attention for an hour?
Yeah.
Absolutely kept my attention for the whole hour. And even 25 years later, I was really into it. This was art. This was art through professional wrestling.
It was just so satisfying. And that whole different dynamic of a scoreboard, 5-3. They should do more things like this.
Deadman walking. It's Judgment Day 2000. Very excited to finally get to this point in the Attitude Era.
You just spoiler alerted the whole show.
You're right.
Deadman walking.
Oh no, I spoiler alerted a 25-year-old show. That's what we do here on Tales from the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
As always, I am Rob Pasbani. You can find me on thestunner.com. Also here on Tales from the Attitude Era. .com. And I am, of course, with Tommy Blacha, former writer for WWE, WWF at the time, in the year 2000. And we go through every episode of WWF.
Don't call him episode.
Every live
show.
Event, every show.
Show, match. No PLE, no episode. They're wrestling shows.
The wrestling show. Every event.
Events.
We go through all the matches that Tommy Blacha had a hand in writing.
PLE, one of the big PLEs.
Yeah, I don't like PLE. Yeah. Premium live event doesn't work as bad. Pay-per-view is, it doesn't
so
even
corporate.
mean it anymore, but you're not paying per the view. But I like it way better than.
Well, it has some gravitas because it was just one of those phrases that was like, oh, it's just a pay-per-view. Oh, it's just a thing. That's what it is. And then it grew into this massive thing. So then it's got like, oh, it means something. And then after the fact, they're like, oh, shoot, what do we call it now? Since there is no pay-per-views. How about premium live event? What?
Right, because they're all live events.
Yeah.
Now.
Who wrote that? Some realtor? Or, PLE.
Well, how would you rename it? What's it?
Well, I'd have to give it some thought, but I don't know. Wouldn't be PLE. I'm just going to be negative norm.
PSV.
Yeah. Premium, I don't know, premium event or something, or just why does it have to be categorized?
Yeah.
Why can't it go? Why can't it live on its own?
How would it be? I think it works in the way like, oh, this coming Sunday is our next big event. Our next, that's where it would.
I'm going to give it some thought and come back and ask it next show because there's got to be it's got to be just PLE is just not.
And we want to open it up to the attitudinals. If you have a better name, please give us a ring. TFT Attitude Era at gmail.com.
Ask ChatGPT what it thinks. It probably came up with that. Frankly. Really
quick, I want to note that I scanned through Sunday Night Heat because there were some allusions to it during the main show, and it was an interesting way to broadcast it. You showed matches taped at SmackDown the prior Tuesday, and then did like interstitials live from the arena.
Right.
I wonder why that happened. I guess you didn't want to burn out the live crowd.
Yeah, that's part of it. And then also it was just kind of like that's the thing I love about wrestling at the time too, is like always kind of reinventing things, with these doing the same thing constantly, but kind of reinventing with, and all the shows were kind of like synopsis shows, if you remember, like Jacked, and all those like Metal. And so Sunday Night Heat was like kind of like a cool thing of this era because it was like a catch-all and people didn't mind to like do other weird side matches on it or whatever. So I think it was a little bit of a precursor of like a massive pre-show, which now gets a little like nauseating, even though there was kind of pre-shows. But you know how everything's being like doled out now, a 5-hour pre-show. So, Sunday Night Heat was always like, a thing that could just kind of either sell tickets, which sometimes Jacked or Metal was like a little bit like that. Like, oh, let's throw in some weird stuff that, fell between the cracks or whatever. Or just a sort of an attitude to be like, let's try this on Sunday Night Heat. Let's be dynamic with this. Why not? It's just was this side thing that got good ratings that could be like a strange catch-all and video synopsis shit. So I don't know.
Also, I think with the international rights deals, I'm not sure if Sunday Night Heat was on right before the pay-per-view or whatever. It might have actually even been on a different day. It might have just been called Heat. So I always remember that on those weeks, you would still have like an international version of the show. That would be a different edit than the live event.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
That's right.
And then, people back at the studio and wherever always like trying to change things. It wouldn't even all come from like the core creative. It'd be like, oh, hey, look at this. Or, or suddenly I'm sure people at whatever time just thought like, oh, there's a new show. It's called Metal. Oh, who named that? Oh, someone back at the, oh, all right. Jacked. What were some of the other ones? There was obviously like
Velocity.
Way back in the day. Was there one called Velocity? I don't remember that.
Oh, yeah. That was like the
I do remember
Sunday Night Heat, like SmackDown version of Sunday Night Heat was Velocity.
Right.
Because Raw would be Sunday Night Heat. And there were a lot of great cruiserweight matches because basically they would run their own stories with the cruiserweight division because they never got time on SmackDown. And there would be like great matches there. Let's see. Velocity, Jacked, Metal, I remember was one.
And then there was just like, Primetime was just... that was its own show.
Of course, the Classics Wrestling Challenge, Superstars.
Yeah, Wrestling Spotlight. Superstars of Wrestling. Yeah, that one was good.
Action Zone, Livewire, Super Astros, I remember. That was good.
Livewire, yeah. Amazing. Just like more shows. Love it.
I love that there was one show called Excess. It's just like all the extra shit we have. WWF Excess.
Excess. That just doesn't even sound right. Just like, refuse. Excess.
Great stuff. All right. Well, yeah.
Speaking of great stuff, this was a great pay-per-view.
This was a great pay-per-view, and this was an incredible crowd. I want to give a big, big shout out 25 years later to the Louisville, Kentucky crowd. Louisville is always a hot market for professional wrestling. I believe it was one of the top markets back in the NWA era.
And I think it was a market that kind of got one of those in-between markets, like Chicago was a little bit, where you could see... I'm sure that they through way back in the day through sending tapes. I bet they got to see Mid-South. I bet they got to see a lot of stuff where they were.
That's a great point. Yes, right. So
well-seasoned wrestling fans.
And also, this was where the development territory for WWE was at the time, Ohio Valley Wrestling.
Right. That's
so
right.
A bit of a hot location for WWE, and this crowd knew all the stories. They knew everybody, and they were really, really hot. And they really, especially with the Iron Man match, it really reinforced to me how the best way to get the crowd on their feet is to slow the hell down. It's so crazy.
I couldn't agree more. I thought this, and it reminds me of like. I just felt like watching this again. It was like, why? And I remember like the way this was laid out. It was kind of like, okay, Iron Man match. It's going to be this or that. We weren't really like, at least I wasn't like told like, well, it was more of like, well, what do you think of this? And I'd be like, oh, I love it. I wish there was more shit like this. I love best 2 out of 3 falls or multiple falls. And when I watch it again, I remember like talking about like this with everyone. They're like, oh, I kind of hate how wrestling is developed into like long matches, tons of high spots, plenty of 2-count kickouts, over and over and over and over till a certain time you get fatigued and like, which one's going to be the last one? Oh, I guess it's that one. Where this was like 5-3. It was so different. And so, like for an hour-long match, it was just like, oh, this is a whole new dynamic. Why don't they do things like this anymore? I thought it was like great, It was.
I felt the last 15 or 20 minutes were incredibly tense in terms of like edge of your seat, like, oh, what's going to happen? I love that Triple H had such a large lead too.
Yeah.
Because it's like, how is he going to get back from, how is he going to, 2 pins in a row? Like, that's crazy. I agree with you. These are the best matches because also it forces the announcers and everyone to really lean into the sports presentation and talk about the score, talk about the time, talk about the strategy. And that's, I feel, when wrestling is at its best, when it feels like it's a sport. It feels like it's actually, like
sure,
competitive.
No, it actually reminded me of, like, if you want to get on YouTube and watch a real old match, like Buddy Rogers versus Pat O'Connor or something, and it's like, oh, it's a long match, and the announcers are just into it. It's like, oh yeah, this is the 100-year history of wrestling. And even when they locked up, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, it's two classic, wrestlers of this era just locking up and pushing back and forth, and the crowd was hot. That reminds me of like some Japanese shit or something that frankly that the Attitude Era got away with, or watching things that aren't house shows. It was just like, oh, all this buildup, it's two combatants in the ring locking up, and everyone's into it. It's like, not to sound, corny, not to sound Jim Cornette about it, but it's like, yeah, it was just wrestling. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I thought the lockup even got a pop. Yeah, that was great.
That's what I mean. I was like,
yeah,
holy shit, there's just a lockup and a couple of them, and it's like, oh, it really reminded you of the beginning of like a big boxing match, where how it's kind of like, sometimes wrestling, pro wrestling is like, here's the entrance. Oh my God, ding, ding, ding. And it gets a little deflated, and then it's got to build up again. Where this was like, sometimes you'd see more in like the Japanese matches where the guys are just warming up and they're ready, and it's just, or you see it in actual like real stuff, like boxing or UFC. It's like, oh, there's a momentum building. They're just standing around, their entourage is in there. There's no, weird fancy lights, and that stuff's over. But because it's real, there's this momentum building for, very rarely do like, and the lockup crescendos the crowd. And it did, like, it was like, oh, it just felt like, oh, that should happen more. That was really incredible. But we jumped ahead. It was so good.
Yeah,
so we'll get there.
We'll get back there. Yeah. So let's kick it off. We're in Louisville, Kentucky. A great, kind of comical intro video to start it, where it was like all these things that happen in 1 hour, like 15,000 babies are born, 6,000 people die, 8,300 planes in the air with 1.5 million people's lives at risk. Like, what? Okay, what's going on? And to make that, like, an hour is a long period of time. It's building up the Iron Man match, which is the main event. And we're in Louisville, Kentucky, hot crowd. And immediately we go to a backstage segment with the McMahon-Helmsley regime.
Yes.
And I'm not sure this was really necessary, but sure, why not? Vince McMahon basically says, we're going to celebrate tonight. He goes through each of the competitors and hypes up their match within the promo by saying, like, you're going to beat this guy. You're going to beat Big Show. You're going to beat and of course, Triple H is going to beat The Rock. All of a sudden, Briscoe walks in late, and everyone's like, where the hell have you been? It's like, oh, I've just been a little late. And then he takes everyone's coffee order. And as he hypes up, they hear like a sound, and we see outside of the locker room, Briscoe was attacked by the headbangers, and he gets stuffed in a bathroom. And I think they missed the shot of him walking with the coffee and getting attacked, because they show it a little later on in the show. This is live television, folks.
A little bit of a botch, but yeah.
Briscoe was really the star of the show here. He was in like 3 different, he was in the most segments, and really put through the ringer in terms of this is a 50-year-old man taking bumps. A real trooper.
Tough as shit, period.
Yeah. We see Shawn Michaels is in the building. He was shown on Sunday Night Heat in street clothes. Now he's in his signature special referee gear, which is a cutoff ref short and short shorts. He did not stuff his shorts this time, like he iconically did in the late 90s, but still looked great.
Which I love on all the seriousness of it, still like heat-seeking mini shorts.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, he's got an aura to fill. That was his vibe. And so that was great. Kurt Angle is out first. I immediately have a smile on my face. Like, you know how to rev the crowd up. I feel like this you couldn't have asked for a better opener. Yeah.
And also that all perfect, because like you said, everything about Louisville, great. I don't know, what was the crowd there? Probably like 15,000. It's not that, for packed arena. I don't know, somewhere between, who knows, that arena is not super big. Somewhere, I imagine it was somewhere between 10 and 15,000, but just not a state-of-the-art arena. You know what I mean? Just a little bit of a stinky place in that terms. Better, perfect, just everything, just chef's kiss venue. That's all
the attendance was 16,827 at Freedom.
Wow, packed.
With a buy rate of 420,000 pay-per-view buys, which is freaking great for a fucking like pay-per-view.
And we've talked before about like just that those numbers contribute to a direct energy line, to the performance, to the everything, to knowing like, oh, this is successful. Oh, there's an actual buy rate. You know, it's like when it's almost like you work in a restaurant and you're like, oh my God, what a busy night. Like, oh, look how much money was made, as opposed to like, oh, whatever. You're not knowing that, you know, there's just like, there's an energy to that it's kind of gone now with these overall deals.
Sorry, not to interrupt, but here I go. The buy rate is actually lower than Backlash, which was 620. But I think with Backlash, you had such a momentum from WrestleMania and a lot of the WrestleMania rematches that it seemed a little more exciting than this. Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes you always have to factor in, and I don't know what was happening on that night and what the date was. Is it like were we dealing with football or anything like that?
It was Sunday, May 21st. So it was sweeps month. So I'm sure there was a lot of stuff on television.
Right. Yeah. And that was a big, yeah.
Yeah. Whereas I guess in late April, it's probably more likely to be a repeat to build up for the sweeps month. So yeah, that's fair. But no, so Kurt Angle's first. He gets some mic time. He says, "Ever since I've teamed up with Edge and Christian, your Olympic hero has noticed he's received a lot of attention from teenage girls. Your Olympic hero is considered all that." And so he says he has a poem for all the young ladies that are fans of your Olympic hero. He says, "Don't be like other people here, shacking up with other guys. Eat clear, be pure, be abstinent, and follow my 3 eyes." And that got some good heat. And he says, "I'd like to introduce my partners, who are also all that, Edge and Christian. And even though they're heels, they still got the high-pitched Von Erich pop."
Sure.
They have a bunch of props. And then as they're coming to the ring, I'm like, oh my God, this is one of the most iconic 5-second poses that constantly got replayed in the reels and everything. Like this clip gets shown all the time. And Edge says, or Christian says, "It's great to be here in the Bluegrass State," which gets a positive reaction, "in front of our fans here in Louisville," which gets a boo. And we have a special treat for you tonight, the Jug Band. And they take out their props. They have cowboy hats. They have fiddles. And then they have buck teeth. And Edge does a little cross-eyed thing. And they pose. And what I loved about the reaction here is the Louisville crowd kind of popped and then booed. Like they loved that they were being mocked, but then they were like, "How dare you?" No, we're better.
Yeah, they're almost like, well, they're right. We are fucking hillbillies, but how dare you?
It was very unique. I haven't noticed a pop like this in a while, where like they found the heels funny, but then we're like, "Hey, wait a minute, you're making fun of me."
Yeah. And then they enjoyed hating him. Yeah.
And it was great in that sense too, because yes, you clearly set up they're the heels, and then here come the really cool guys to cheer for that are going to stop these guys. And Too Cool and Rikishi, they got like a main event reaction here. They got a massive reaction.
And I called that cheap heat plus. Because it was cheap heat, because just making fun of them being hillbillies, but you got some teeth and you got a whole thing and you got a jug band. It's like, that's cheap heat plus.
Yeah, it wasn't that cheap. They had to work for it a little bit, I feel, you know?
Cheap heat plus.
Yeah, that's fair. I loved the opening minutes of the match. Like, this is how you start a show where the faces just make the heels look like total goofs.
Yeah.
You know, like overselling, and like they try to go for a big move and then completely miss it, and the faces get the advantage. It really like amped the crowd up like a few decibels, I feel even. And the crowd was with this match the entire time. I couldn't believe, I was almost like, I hope they don't gas out by the main event, because this was so hot. It was so hot that I noticed it. You know, typically you're not paying attention, or I'm not really paying attention to the crowd as much. But here they're as much a part of the show as the wrestling.
And a big part of it too, to me, is like, you know, you throw all this stuff together and it is like a big grab bag of weird characters, but they're all so established that it's like, you know, it's just such an odd mix of like Kurt Angle. And, you know, if you had to explain it to someone just coming in, well, these two, they're like pretty boys, but they're the heels. And Kurt Angle, he's like the good All-American, but they're friends because they're all and it works. And then these guys are sort of like, you know, the white, black guys, and but the Rikishi is the, you know, there's so much convoluted explaining to do, but it's been entrenched for so long that now like the fans are really like, all these characters exist, and that's very established, and that like helps instead of just, you know, I mean, there's nothing worse than like throw new characters out against the wall and see what sticks, but it's like, big convoluted, wonderful grab bag.
Absolutely. And these guys are really smart. They knew the worm would get a massive reaction, so I think there were like 3 or 4 teases of doing the worm, and Scotty gets cut off. Even when the heels started getting the heat on Scotty, the crowd was still with them. The crowd didn't die off. They kept like doing the slow to fast clap, and they were really, really with it. And then finally, Kurt Angle is in position for a stink face. And this is like I said, this is like a main event pop of like a rock bottom type pop. But like people were so excited. And then they do a double DDT on Rikishi, and he no-sells, pops back up. Edge spears him. And then Edge teases doing his own worm, and the crowd is like, no, we don't want to see this. And then, of course, Scotty cuts Edge off, and then finally, it's time to give the crowd what they want.
Yeah.
They're W-O-R-M. Ooh, ooh, ooh. They're like, yes, thank you. This is the greatest move of all time.
Yep. And just proof that, like, just the pop trumps all wrestling logic or whatever, because the amount of time you have to sell for the words, it's just preposterous. But it's like, nope. Why? Listen. Explosive. Yeah.
Absolutely.
One of the hottest crowds ever.
Yeah. Seriously, I was blown away, especially just for this match. Rikishi is going for the shoulder breaker. I in my notes, I write it quiche because, you know, Rikishi's too long to write out. Quiche.
Quiche.
Kind of go for a quiche now. Rikishi goes for a shoulder breaker. Christian brings in the ring bell and smashes Rikishi. Ref is distracted. Edge has the pin, and Grandmaster Sexay gets on the top rope, does the top rope leg drop, switches the pin, and we get a 1, 2, 3. It looks like Edge kicked out, and according to Meltzer's write-up, it seemed like everyone was upset, like that wasn't the actual finish of the match. But it was, and the crowd loved it.
Yeah, well, it goes to show you. I can't really remember. I think, you're right, something about something. But often they would like mess with things often here and there where even refs didn't know, like the finish sometimes, which is to get this out, which I found like bizarre. But I don't think that was the case. But sometimes it was like, am I, you'll have to really put your shoulder up, which puts the ref in an unfair position. But I have to let me call someone to make sure, and we'll try to get next week whether that's true, because I don't remember anything like that really.
Okay.
But could make,
but still, I thought it was a fine finish. I didn't even notice anything was wrong until I read the report about it, and the crowd loved it. The crowd couldn't. And
you being a clean finish smart mark, I've found that anytime there's been some kind of controversy and some kind of pinfall went where it wasn't supposed to, it's always better. It's always more interesting. It's always good. You know what I mean? A botch is a botch, but if someone's like, oh, how surprising, that was a pin, but it wasn't supposed to be, you're always intrigued. It's always better. It's the weird thing about wrestling when you leak the truth in, like we've said things about like, oh, The Rock's foot didn't really touch. Anytime there's like a truthful kind of strange mishap and you can lead it into the storyline, it always just makes it better. Opinion.
Well, I mean, there was quite a mishap in the main event, and we'll talk about that as well once we get there. And of course, they have to dance. The crowd loves it. And in a way, I almost feel like they burnt out the crowd a little bit with how hot they were for this. Because the next match was kind of dead in terms of the reaction. But we'll talk about that in a second. First,
you put the crowd through wind sprints. They got adrenalized. What are you going to do?
Yeah, exactly. Backstage, Michael Cole interviews Shawn Michaels. And I really like the storyline you're telling with Michaels, because it really was not clear. Like, is he going to be for Triple H? Is he going to be down the middle? Is he a face? Is he a heel? And you have, 20 years of history with the Heartbreak Kid that most of your fans, including me, who is very much an HBK mark, was wondering, like, which way is he going to go? Like, I want him to be a face. I don't want him to be aligned with Triple H, but they have a friend. They formed DX. How could it possibly? And I like that he
Unless, what do you think about the possibility of Triple H turning face with him against the McMahon? There's always,
I didn't even consider that.
Well, and like I said, for everything that happens, you've talked about every scenario, and you write certainly every scenario. So there is all kinds of juicy things, but that's great when it's set up like, ooh, what, and when you meet with Vince, like, well, what can happen? Like, well, here's a possibility. There's a possibility. Then, of course, it has to go like, oh, would you ever do that? Oh, maybe. And all it takes is someone to be like, that's intriguing. But then, there's once you really get your head spinning into like, ooh, what could happen? That would have been good. That would have been good.
And I like that HBK maintains a cocky tone throughout all these interviews. And we learned that on Heat, he met with both The Rock and Stephanie McMahon. And HBK says he might be boys with Triple H, but he's calling it down the middle. And Cole says the word on the internet is that you're jealous of The Rock. And HBK looks at the camera and goes, well, if it's on the internet, it must be true. Which I think is a great acknowledgement of the rumors at the time. And there were a lot of rumors about real heat between HBK and The Rock. And like I mentioned, to the point that on The Rock show 20 years later, he intentionally edited out HBK out of the show and renamed him like Chad Too Bad or something.
Right.
So very
still doesn't mean they have real heat. Just means there was a real rumor that was really big,
and he's playing into it in the show. Oh.
Or there was real heat.
Or anytime you say "or" in a pro wrestling context, I think of the Scott Hall survey. Yeah. Are you going to see WCW? Or
pretty good.
Anyway, a great Eddie and Chyna, we see from Sunday Night Heat, arrived in a very fancy sports car. Eddie once again refers to himself as the Love Machine. And Malenko cuts them off and tells Chyna to stay out of the match. And Chyna goes, I'll stay out of the match. With really bad winks. And then Saturn shows up, and him and Malenko kind of have like a little argument, a little sass off. Not to be confused with Will Sasso, former guest.
Yeah. Would you have called it that as a color commentator? We're having a sass off.
Oh, Saturn and Malenko are being very sassy backstage. So yeah, like I said, it's the European title match, Perry Saturn versus Eddie Guerrero versus Dean Malenko. And, I thought a lot more about what you were saying last week. I was giving you heat for the SmackDown segment where Eddie, forced himself back into the triple threat match. And you're right. During this year, a triple threat was a really cool special thing. It didn't really happen that often in WWE. So it was its own thing. Unfortunately, this crowd was not into this. Now, there's a few reasons. I feel the second match is like the break between the first match and the second match is always like a good moment to go to the bathroom. Theoretically, the crowd just arrived 5 or 10 minutes before the show. They watch the first match. Oh, it's so hot. All right, I need a beer, or I need to pee, or I need a hot dog.
You're not wrong, but conventionally they always usually, and whether it's the standard cliche is always that the third match is the popcorn match.
I see.
That's conventional thinking. Of course, it doesn't apply to every show because every show has its own rhythm. But yeah, you're right. Somehow this got it. And in retrospect, maybe you had a big 6-man craziness. Maybe you should have had a singles match. I don't know. You can always, in retrospect, or
the crowd was a little.
Is there
deflated.
another?
Yeah.
Is there another like weird, lot of moving parts dynamic match right after an initial lot of moving parts dynamic match? Maybe
and also with this match, I feel there's no clearly defined babyface to root for. These three guys are all technically still heels. I guess Eddie Guerrero is sort of a tweener right now, but he's not really presented as such.
It's hard for me to follow because I just root for him. He's
no, I know, absolutely. But I just mean for the crowd in general, there wasn't like, also with the first match,
the crowd in general.
With
Eddie
the
Guerrero,
first match,
period.
you very much telegraphed that Kurt Angle was the heel. Like you shouldn't root for Angle.
Yeah.
There was no telegraphing of who to root for here.
I'm gonna push back. I'm not sure that was the problem. I think it should have just been a later or mid match or something, or just put in there. It's just like a lot of moving parts, barn burner after another. Maybe they got burned, and also it's hard to predict sometimes.
Sure.
But they
had a good match. I like that the way the match started is Saturn attacked Guerrero as Malenko was coming out, and then Malenko and Saturn double teamed Guerrero after all the hijinks Guerrero tried to pull on them last week on the show, only for Saturn to eventually turn on Malenko. It's every man for himself here. Guerrero did a really cool double low blow with the two of them behind him. I've never really seen that before, and really great action. And I was kind of surprised that the crowd didn't get into it, which made me think like, oh, half of them must be in the bathroom or whatever, how could you not react to this? Absolutely a different reaction to the previous match. But they worked very hard, did a lot of cool trio moves. You don't really you could tell they really tried and really planned out a good match here, which I give so much credit for, especially in this era where you didn't really need to do that much, but they wanted to put on a good show.
Right.
Saturn at one point rolled out of the ring and Chyna was there and she smacked him with the roses and he gets knocked out. Then she runs to the other side and gets on the apron, tries to smack Malenko. Malenko grabs the roses and they drop to the mat, and then Chyna trips him, and the spot was really that she tripped him on the roses, and then he kind of got dazed from the roses because there's a steel pipe in there. And then Eddie Guerrero hits a victory roll, I believe, and gets the pinfall victory and they get out of the match. And then they reveal the pipe, which is from, I guess you're using a SmackDown finish, but still very good.
Why not? Oh,
yeah.
Roses.
Backstage, we just have a segment of Briscoe sneaking around the bathroom, and he gets startled by his own reflection in the mirror and starts punching the mirror like, how dare you? Briscoe was great here. Like he really sold this so well. He's such a good bumbling heel. And I mean, not to jump ahead, but I'm so looking forward. Like I saw that the next pay-per-view is King of the Ring, and I know that he and Pat Patterson have a legendary evening gown match that I just can't wait for.
Briscoe somehow is like, so, I mean, it's always a lesson to anyone like, this fucking guy's tough as shit. And then also like, if you're familiar with like all like, hey, Black Sunday and all this stuff, like, hey, Briscoe's, he's certainly not a stooge. He's made some money. He's never in the middle of the controversy. He seems easygoing. He's crazy like a fox. And then he's out here like, yeah, I'll be in an evening gown. You know what I mean? He's a testament to like, you got to do whatever. And he doesn't ever come across, how can you, it's interesting. Like he doesn't come across as a clown or ego. He's just like, I'm easygoing. I don't give a fuck, mess with him. It's like, oh yeah, he's still tough as shit. Has everyone's respect, it's just like,
probably one of the strongest grips in the company,
and then, and it really one of the few who no one has a bad word to say about Briscoe.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure Ole Anderson does, but that's a different story.
yeah. Which is almost another plus.
Fair.
Right.
For those that know the Black, what was it? The Black Sunday or the Black Friday or whatever?
Black Sunday.
Black Sunday was that essentially him and his brother and a few other people owned shares in the Georgia Championship Wrestling league, and Ole Anderson was staging a coup, and they really were not into Ole running the show, and they didn't think he could do it. So they went and all together sold their combined share, which was greater than Ole's share, to Vince McMahon.
Yeah, and I'm sure it was a more than fair price, is what I'm saying.
Right.
And and then through all this controversy, it's like, who, me, Briscoe? What did I do?
Yeah.
Yeah. No one really talks about it or knows.
Or was it
Black?
I think it was Black Saturday, because he showed up on the.
You're right.
Right.
Yeah,
No, it's Black Saturday, because then Georgia Championship Wrestling had the 6:05 time slot on TBS, the famous WCW Saturday night time slot, and then 6:05 rolls around, and it's Vince McMahon on the Georgia Championship Wrestling set, which is. For a wrestling fan, that's like, what's he doing here?
Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah,
and people were very annoyed because 6:05 was all about studio wrestling in Georgia, and instead he would keep going to tapes from house shows all over the country of other guys, and so it eventually led to Ted Turner buying or Jim Crockett buying the time slot from Vince McMahon, which then gave Vince McMahon the funding to go and do the first WrestleMania, which one thing led to another, eventually put Jim Crockett out of business and led to Ted Turner buying WCW. So a crazy domino effect from Black Saturday, all from this nice looking man, Gerald Briscoe.
Yeah, Gerald Briscoe. Yeah.
Awesome. So then we have no DQ, Shane versus The Big Show. Not a match for clean finish smart marks, but a very fun segment.
Not a pay-per-view for clean finish smart marks, really.
Yeah, that's true. Shane starts with a big dive, big Undertaker-like suicide dive over the top rope. Show just catches him and mauls him. Almost immediately, Bossman runs in with a nightstick to attack Big Show. Show disposes of him. Show looked like a total beast here.
Yes.
I will say,
ruining the clean finish. Although we're even young clean finish smart mark Rob Pasbani, were you really expecting a Shane McMahon Big Show Falls Count Anywhere match to have a clean finish?
No, not at all. I expected much hijinks with the Falls Count Anywhere stipulation. So he disposes of Bossman. Then TNA come out with chairs, look like total herbs. As Show knocks the chairs out and knocks them out almost immediately, Trish comes in and tries to do a low blow. Big Show no-sells it. Apparently her fist was not strong enough for his big grapefruits. Then he grabs her, and in a crazy spot, I can't believe they did this. First of all, when he grabbed her and starts choking her, the crowd went so nuts. Like, the crowd is now back. I was saying, like, they were quiet for an Eddie Guerrero match. Now they're awake again. They're like, yeah, beat up a woman. He lifts her up huge over his head, and I'm like, what? How are they going to do this? And thankfully, he just choke slams, throws her into T&A, who are on the outside, and they do a great job catching her. So it was very safe. Yeah. Looked awesome. Great spot.
Yeah. And that's one of those spots that is, like we talked before about, like, just the energy transference of live. Those spots are like so exciting live, more than they even, they looked great on TV, but live, I just always, anything like that top rope, Big Show, it's just such a crowd pleaser.
Because also it's like, where is he gonna? How is he gonna dispose of her? Like, she's so high up in the air. No, it was great.
They look great. Yeah.
They eventually end up in by the staging area, which, by the way, I want to say, take a quick aside, because I feel like the production team kind of gave up at the staging here. Like, it wasn't as exciting. Like, the Backlash set is so iconic. This is essentially the Raw set with a few Judgment Day logos. Like, nothing too extravagant here.
Yeah, and also I don't know if there's something to do with the venue. I'm not sure that was a venue on the circuit all the time. Maybe it was, or because sometimes if you remember. It could have been. Even Madison Square Garden is a weird venue to where they had big pay-per-views there, and they had that street fight, and they did have a lot of stuff like that. Was great because it was like chain link fence and whatever. You always notice Madison Square Garden doesn't have a big apparatus built because it doesn't, so sometimes I think that may have been an issue, but who again, the two icons locked up in the Iron Man match. Who cares? It's not about that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, to your point, I always loved that about Madison Square Garden because they have the short entrance in the old arena before they renovated. I always loved that because it looked totally different than.
And you knew where you were, kind of.
Yeah, like, yeah. Oh, and of course, the iconic roof.
Yeah,
you know, like how could you not? So yeah, I really like that. Anyway, so they're in this staging area. TNA get the better show. Shane starts climbing a truss. Show tries to stop him. Bull Buchanan shows up with a nightstick and he attacks the Big Show. And you do this stunt, and I'm even like, wow, how did you pull this off safely? Big Show falls into these cables and his leg is out, and then you dump, like, it's not a speaker, but like a giant cabinet of like technology onto the Big Show's leg.
Like a rack system of whatever.
Yeah. And so like Big Show is now trapped, like he can't sit up. Right. And then Shane comes with a concrete brick or a cinder block. Sorry, a cinder block.
Yeah.
And smashes it over the Big Show's head, and it explodes over the Big Show's head. So naturally, the Big Show is knocked out. Is this not murder? But okay. Shane gets the win, and it's like this is how you pin the Big Show. This is the only acceptable way for Big Show to lose this match, I thought, because he was completely outnumbered, incapacitated. His legs were literally stapled. I thought how you did it was so great, because how do you drop something on his leg without hurting him? Like, it must have been positioned
and also the materials are like, pretend. But I'm theorizing potentially you can do a hell of a thing with like thick balsa wood. Right. Things that don't really look. I remember one of the gimmicks, I don't think we used it, or maybe was like they made these balsa wood bats once, and they were like so great because you could really like swing them, and they would just like hurt, just like being like kind of whipped with a plank of wood, like more of a slapping hurt, but it looked like a baseball bat. It was just so like, oh God, it was almost like too vicious looking instead of that, like I'm poking you with a real steel bat, but because it still had some weight. So, maybe that box was made of something that looked exactly like it, but really wasn't. And maybe the cinder block was, vermiculite and something else.
Of course, yeah. The cinder block, obviously. That. But what was crazy though is almost instantly you see Dr. Tom running out of the stage to like care for Big Show and all the agents, and it maybe a minute or two, Big Show is standing. Like sell it a little. Like, give me some. I turned into Jim Cornette for a second. Sell.
Yeah.
And he's up and at him after 5 minutes. They go straight to an ambulance, and you hear Big Show going, "That son of a bitch is dead." And so I guess this was cover, according to Dave Meltzer, because Show has been dealing with a torn meniscus. He needs surgery. So this is like the storyline excuse for why Show is getting this, but they're hoping it won't be too long, that it'll only be like a month or something.
Right.
But a great way to write out Show while still making him look strong. And this was the perfect kind of smoke and mirrors match where Show didn't really have to do too much athletic stuff, didn't have to really strain his knee too much. And it looked great, and the crowd loved it. And, you give the heel some heat here.
Yeah, and then you put him on the shelf, and he's a monster. Can't put a herb on a shelf.
No. But he knocked out a few herbs with TNT. Then we have HBK and Triple H catching up backstage. This is a cool little scene, and Triple H says, "You're not going to wear those shorts, are you? I can see your smiling banana from here." But he is wearing those shorts. Then we have a great match. Jericho versus Benoit in a submission match.
Yep.
Dave Meltzer called this the match of the night. Although he rated this and the Iron Man match both 4 stars, which in 2000 is very high praise from Dave Meltzer.
Yeah.
He did not give out 4 stars that often. Now he just throws around 5 stars like they're nothing. Back then. much more different, a much harder curve. So this was great. Also, backstage, we learned that Benoit had the flu all week. He arrived late and he wrestled with the flu. This is something I always thought about. Like I always thought about when I felt shitty and I was watching wrestling and I was like, I'm just watching this. Like, what if I had to like go and like be athletic with a stuffed nose or whatever? You know, like if I'm, you know, I practice jujitsu, and if my sinuses are acting up, I can't even properly roll. I can't imagine doing a whole 10-minute match with millions of people watching, you know, like, you got, this is insane.
It is. And often you find in even like big, you know, whatever, like Michael Jordan's great performance with the flu. Sometimes they, you know, it's like they just got to pull through it and just like concentrate on, you know, what they're doing. Often there's sometimes in sporting events, I'm sure there's shitty ones too, but there's been great performances with the flu. And what do, you know? And like, hey, as you know, a lot of these guys are sick a lot. And I know you've probably been around it too. Like UFC guys and stuff, they're fucking always sick. You know, it's like amazing. Yeah. You know what I mean? Just by the nature of, you know, which is odd. Well,
just because they have to drop weight. Their bodies are mad at them.
There's a million things, you know, their you know, immunities are down. And you know what? A thing too, why a lot of athletes are sick. It's really odd. It's because you're around a lot of people all the time. So that's just a transference of virus, period, you know? Mm-hmm. And when you're doing something athletic, you start to breathe through your mouth. And that's a big direct way to catch a virus in your lung. So often if you're just breathing, your nose cuts out so much kind of viral stuff, you know, getting caught in your boogers and what have you. So if you're around a bunch of people and you're breathing, that's a big, you know, so you always see that, like, yeah, athletes are, you know, they're getting over it more, but you know.
Yeah. A big tip in my early jiu-jitsu training was everyone be like, breathe through your nose. Don't breathe through your mouth. You don't want to do that. You know, it's much better. So yeah, but this was great. And really good psychology using the storyline that you've been building the last few weeks to the match's advantage. Benoit shows up with a knee brace because on SmackDown, Hardcore Holly attacked his knee.
Yep.
And, they go for a lot of submissions. This match is a lot of submissions and reversals. Obviously, it's a submission match. The only way to win is to make your opponent submit. We get a lot of arm bars, attempts at the crossface, reversal. Attempts at the walls of Jericho, reversal. We see that Val Venus is watching backstage. He has a title shot on Raw. And Hardcore Holly's also watching backstage. Jericho does a cool walls of Jericho in the ropes. That looked really cool. Setting up for the eventual ladder spot at the Royal Rumble that I always remember. Right. And that's my favorite match of their series in WWF. I always thought that the Royal Rumble 2001 was like the climax of their feud. And at some point, Benoit's knee brace gets loose and it's completely off his knee. And I always thought about this, like, it's got to be so weird for the other opponent to wrestle a guy with a knee brace, because those braces are, I don't know if it's steel or plastic, but it hurts. It's not rubber.
Yeah, especially, you know, like that kind. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's got to be so odd working a person with that. But anyway, the knee brace gets loose. Late in the match, Jericho's going for the walls. Benoit's like using his shoulders to climb. He grabs the knee brace. I guess since this is a mission match, there's no DQ. And he uses the brace as a weapon and smacks Jericho with it. Jericho is dazed. Benoit is able to counter the walls into a crippler crossface. The crowd is with Jericho. They want him to break. They're like really, really rooting him on. Jericho almost gets to the ropes. Benoit pulls him back to the middle of the ring, and they didn't quite get the shot, but the story was that Jericho passes out from the pain. You couldn't really, like, his hair was covering his eyes, so you couldn't really see the emotion. But Benoit wins via knockout, essentially, in the submission match. And what I liked was that even after the bell rang and Jericho's passed out, he refused to let go. Very vicious.
Yeah. Good stuff. A little reprisal of the famous, which I thought one of the greatest endings ever, Bret Hart, Steve Austin.
Yes.
the I Quit, where I didn't make him quit because he passed out, where both guys came out kind of smelling good, so to speak.
Yeah. Right.
Austin was like, he's so tough that he'd rather you have to kill him before he'd say I quit. And yet Bret Hart dealt with him so bad that he passed out.
Yeah. No, it makes Jericho look like a tough guy. Like he didn't.
Yeah.
Like Benoit didn't fulfill the point of the match. He didn't get the submission.
And who says that getting hit with a knee brace shouldn't bring a disqualification just because it's a submission match? Interesting point, but I don't know.
Fair.
Sticky.
King of the Ring is next month. We see an ad. And I feel like at this point, the King of the Ring is like a nuisance because Vince McMahon just hates these tournaments. But I always enjoy the tournament format.
I always enjoy a tournament too.
Yeah, and especially a one-night tournament.
Yeah, you can elevate people, and then like people who are big can lose and not really lose status because it's
We got a recap of the Briscoe thing with the coffee. He's interviewed, and Michael Cole is like, he's annoyed with Michael Cole. He's like, you don't have any funny ideas, do you? And we see two stagehands behind him, and they're like, oh, wait, that's the hardcore champ. Should we attack him? Should we attack? And it's actually Ohio Valley wrestlers Nick Dinsmore, who eventually becomes Eugene, and Scotty Saber, which is a great indie name. Briscoe eventually sees them and beats them up before they have a chance to attack him. HBK and The Rock are talking. Rock is talking down to HBK. Better call it down the middle. And HBK is a little annoyed with this setting up. Is there going to be tension?
Pretty good.
Love it. Very good.
One side's friendly. The other side's contentious. Mm-hmm.
DX versus the Dudleys. The crowd was with this the entire match. They loved this match. They wanted to see tables. Dudleys have the early advantage. They start to stalk Tori, and the crowd is apoplectic. They're orgasmic at the possibility of Tori being thrown through the table, and then DX reclaimed the advantage to big boos, big heat. Crowd was really into the heat, actually. Like, they're beating on Devon, and the crowd is like cheering for the comeback. You don't really see that that often anymore. So I was very impressed. And it's foreshadowing of like how into the heat they were in the Iron Man match.
Right.
Bubba finally tags in. It's so crazy. They were like dying for the hot tag, and then Bubba got the hot tag, and there was no reaction. There was no reaction until he starts actually, hulking up. And that's when the crowd gets up a little. And as soon as they call for the tables, the crowd gets on their feet. They're like, all right, now this is it. It's game time. Let's go. There's 3 tables in the ring. Devon rolls out to get Road Dogg. Road Dogg stops him, hits a pump handle slam on Devon through a table on the outside. So now the DX team just has to put Bubba through a table to win. Both members of a team have to be put through a table to lose, is the rule. Not of each team. X-Pac tries to do a leapfrog on Bubba, and Bubba catches him in a power bomb through a table. It looked so crisp. It looked perfect.
Yeah.
I feel like someone should really steal that spot. It looked great. It looked real. X-Pac is just totally underrated. I feel he was so good. Road Dogg and Baba.
Giant Baba?
Giant Baba was in the match. Yeah. Road Dogg and Bubba were fighting, and the ref tried to stop it. So then Bubba and Road Dogg put the ref through a table.
Yeah.
Gerald Briscoe comes out all of a sudden, and as he's coming out through the hoopla, the Dudleys 3D Road Dogg through a table, but the ref is knocked out, so he can't call the victory. Now Tori comes in, tries to slap Bubba, and that energizes Bubba. Bubba grabs her. The crowd is now truly orgasmic. Like, well, we're finally going to see it. They set up the spot, the powerbomb spot. Bubba's sitting on the top rope. Devon gracefully gives him Tori.
Delivers Tori.
Delivers Tori, yes. Briscoe gets in the ring. He disposes of Devon, and he gives Bubba a shot in the torso, not quite the groin, and gracefully removes Tori. And then X-Pac runs up and again does the move from SmackDown that looks so cool you had to do it on the pay-per-view, which is a backwards falling X Factor onto a table.
Oh,
yeah. It looks so good. And as he was doing this, Gerald Briscoe wakes up the referee, so he sees that Bubba went through the table. Ding, ding, ding. DX steal this one.
The spot's so nice, you had to do it twice.
Absolutely. And look, as a clean finish smart mark, I loved this finish. Sure. I loved that you didn't give the crowd the Tory spot. Yeah. I don't think it was time yet. I think it was like, you really got, there's only so many women left to put through a table. And I think it's just like at this point, Tori and Stephanie, like who else is like, they've already put everyone else through a table. So, which made me think like, it's been a while since we've seen Mae Young. But anyway, so I like that you're further delaying this because it'll be an even bigger pop when it finally happens. And it wasn't the time, especially if you're giving DX the win here. It wasn't the time to do it. But you wanted to send the fans home happy. So as DX immediately leaves, the Dudleys wake up and they beat up Briscoe and they send him through a table. So that was good. That was good. The crowd liked that. We get another Judgment Day ad with the little girls doing the nursery rhyme. And JR wonders, what the hell's that about?
Yeah, pretty good.
We have the Iron Man match now. Quick pay-per-view. I remember 15-year-old Smart Mark Rob being like, oh no, I'm really worried. Are they going to keep my attention for an hour?
Yeah,
sure. Absolutely kept my attention for the whole hour. And even 25 years later, they kept my attention. I was really into it. It was such high drama. This was art. This was art through professional wrestling because they paced this so well and such great peaks and valleys. And the way they controlled the crowd, really two guys at the top of their game, truly.
And also just that, like I said, when watching some of these really old matches way back in the day, a lot of them were best 2 out of 3 falls, best 3 out of 4, and I referenced specifically that Pat O'Connor, Buddy Rogers, I think maybe was it at Comiskey Park or something, or I can't remember. And it's just great. And it's like that, there's something about like getting those falls, that helps those long matches, in my opinion, where sometimes you get really sick of that, like high spot, which one's going to be, and sometimes you add it all up at the end of the meal, so to speak. And like, oh yeah, there were 7 good high spots. And I guess that was the one that finally was the 1, 2, 3. Why? I don't, you know what I mean? And just, this is like, it was just so satisfying. And that whole different dynamic of a scoreboard 5-3, and
love
clock running down,
love the basketball sounds, like the quarter ending sound.
And the time running out, that's a great, that's, what obviously the time factor of the Royal Rumble is a thing. And it's not even this same kind of like time counting down urgency thing. It's just something about it really, really helps this. And it's just, I don't know, it's just an area that hasn't been, I don't know, farmed out too well. When I really saw this, I'm like, oh God, there should be more things like that. Should be more dynamics of time running out. Often, for the most part, you see in a lot of pro wrestling, like, oh, it's going to be a time limit draw. You'll see that like, 1 minute left and, is someone going to get the pin or whatever. But just this was great. I just didn't even remember it as this good. I guess it's being there. Sometimes you don't really watch it fully like I did, but I was like, wow, they should do more things like this. That's just my takeaway. Goodness gracious.
No, absolutely. It was very, very impressive. HBK comes out. Then Triple H comes out with Vince, Shane, and Stephanie, and Triple H asks them all to go to the back. He says he wants to win this one himself. Triple H looks particularly orange tonight. He's got that Hulk Hogan tan on. And The Rock gets easily the biggest reaction. Massive main event reaction for the world champion. Triple H tries and stalls, and the announcers note that he could lose a fall by countout. This is great foreshadowing, establishing the rules for later on in the match, that you can't just run out of the ring.
Right.
HBK was counting him. Around the 10-minute mark, Triple H just walks into a rock bottom. 1, 2, 3. Rock gets the first fall. Crowd is super pumped. The clock keeps ticking. There's no breaks.
And that was good. It was at 10 minutes. So that's like a proper, there's so many little things like this. You could always say like, well, if it were a match, he would have won in 10 minutes. And you're off and running.
Absolutely. Yeah. And they hot dog a little bit. And then with 34 minutes left, Rock goes for a figure 4. Triple H pushes him off into a turnbuckle and then kicks him in the torso and hits the pedigree. Now it's 1-1. After the pin, Triple H tries to choke The Rock. HBK pulls him off. He's calling it right down the middle.
Ooh.
The announcers are selling that The Rock is still dazed from the pedigree, even as he's fighting back. Rock throws Triple H into the ropes. Triple H grabs The Rock into a roll-up, and HBK does what seems like a slightly quick pin, but Triple H gets the 3 count. It's 2-1 now. I liked capitalizing off the finisher and getting a roll-up after because The Rock hasn't recovered yet. You don't typically wrestle after a finisher.
And it was great, too, because it was like, it was fast, but not super egregiously fast.
Yeah,
great.
Yeah, like questionable. Very, very good. Like I'm so tuned in. Great. Rock is fighting back. He's still dazed. Triple H hits a huge pile driver. And this was at a time when I feel like the pile driver was soft banned. Like you needed special permission to do a pile driver. So it looked deadly. 3-1 lead. It's another 3 count. Now Triple H is up by 2 falls. Rock is really behind. This is so gripping. It's complete. Like at this point, I'm like, oh, I'm in. This is totally different than what they were doing at WrestleMania 12, which was only 4 years ago. So 27 minutes left. Rock is down by 2. And also I want to say Ross and Lawler were so great this whole time in any of the lower action parts of the match. They're talking strategy. They're talking how tired they are, how The Rock has to get 2 more wins. The Rock has to be, like all of this very, very important color commentary to really get you even more engaged in the match. They did a great job here.
It's another thing where, often some criticisms that, I'll have or whoever is like, oh, they're talking about other stuff while a match is going on. They're not enhancing the match and the current real-time action, where this is like, this is the final. They exactly did that. They weren't bringing up, all this other, like, sometimes the announcers get burdened by all this other storyline stuff or stuff they have to, like, cram in. Or, my pet peeve is like, oh, these incredible actions happening, but they're having to fill in something else, and this.
The story was the match.
Exactly. Well put.
Really, really good. With 20 minutes left, Triple H goes for a pin and tries to use the ropes for leverage. HBK sees it and does the Earl Hebner, like, over-exaggerated kick to knock Triple H off the ropes to, again, reaffirm, no, HBK is still calling it down the middle. Like, I loved how you messed with me, the fan, with how seesawing HBK was. Crowd is really, really getting behind The Rock. And I was like, oh, wow, they're really revving up. And then Rock sneaks in a DDT for a quick pin. It's 3-2 with 20 minutes left. Eventually, a chair is introduced into the match. And at 16 minutes, Triple H swings at The Rock right in front of HBK, and he gets DQ'd. So now it's tied up 3-3. But since The Rock is knocked out, Triple H is able to then score a pinfall, and he is up 4-3. And he cheated a little bit. He did get his legs on the ropes. HBK didn't see it. But great strategy. Great way to use the Iron Man rules for like a heel advantage. Love this.
Yeah, because you get disqualified, but it's only a fall.
Yeah.
And then by the nature of it, you've gained
Rock is bleeding big time. It looks like maybe they wanted more blood because it felt like Shawn Michaels went over to him and tried to squeeze more blood out of his forehead. Big Rocky chant. It's so tense. The crowd is so hot. I'm hot watching 25 years later. And then for a second, I was confused because Triple H locks in a sleeper hold. And I'm like, the crowd is so hot. And you're going for a rest spot? But that's why they're in the main event and I'm watching the show because the crowd got even hotter. The crowd revved up for the sleeper. I was so I felt schooled. You know, like
Right.
that's what you got when the crowd is amping up. You slow down, get them even more amped up.
And you know what? And it's also like the element again, like we said, the really in this moment, I thought like, which I can't remember if the announcers really played it up, but it's like, oh, because it's strategy. He's using the clock. He can get him in a sleeper. He's up 5-3. It's like it's like a soccer match, just like hold the ball.
Yeah, actually they were saying this. Like all Triple H has to do is run out the clock now. He's got a solid advantage. I love that. And they're working, and then they build to a superplex spot. And I feel by this point the superplex is like nothing, but it meant so much in this match. Like they got a huge reaction because they worked for it.
Right.
And then after the superplex, JR with an incredible call, he says it's 8:45. He's like, it's nut cutting time at 8:45. And Lawler's like, nut cutting. But I love it. They end up on the outside. Rock slingshots Triple H into a ring post. Steel meets skull, says Jim Ross. Less than 5 minutes. They're on the announce table. Triple H tries to go for a rock bottom. Rock blocks, fights out of it, hits a pedigree on Triple H. The table doesn't break. It looked like it hurt. Immediately, HBK runs over. Everyone's checking on everyone to make sure they're all okay. Triple H gigs. He gets some good blood. Then 4 minutes left. Rock gets in the ring. Triple H gets counted out. It's 5-4 with 3 minutes and 50 seconds left. All of a sudden, the McMahons show up. 2 minutes, 30 seconds left. Rock is building up momentum. Shane and Vince get on the apron. Eat a fist from the Rock. Rock hits a people's elbow. 1, 2, 3. It's tied with less than 2 minutes left. Shane now pulls HBK out of the ring. Shawn knocks out Shane. He knocks out Vince. We hear a motorcycle starting to rev. DX hit the ring. And they attack the Rock. All of a sudden, the Judgment Day video is playing on the Titantron. The announcers reference it, but the wrestlers in the ring are not acknowledging it. They're just attacking the Rock, beating up the Rock. 30 seconds left, and the Undertaker is here. I do think on this video, it's edited down a little bit based on the live thing, because it felt Undertaker's appearance felt a little weird, like out of nowhere.
Yeah, the timing was a little off.
Yeah, and the song was off, and the timing was definitely off because as he got in the ring, he hits a huge choke slam, and you hear the buzzer that indicates the 60 minutes is up. Then Undertaker picks up Triple H. So Undertaker cleared the ring, and then he's focused on Triple H. He's about to tombstone Triple H. HBK is awake, and he's like, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. Undertaker tombstones Triple H. The match is over. HBK calls for the bell. He rolls out of the ring, tells the referee that due to the Undertaker's interference, that's a disqualification, thus giving Triple H another fall, and thus he's the winner of the match.
Yep.
The Fink announces it. He takes his time. The Fink is the best. My all-time favorite announcer. So as he's saying, the winner of the fall, Triple H, therefore, your winner, and new. And the crowd is so mad.
Yeah.
And HBK is like, look, I told you, and then Undertaker stalking HBK out of the arena. They have their history. So the timing was a little messed up on the finish. It went like 6 seconds over the 60 minutes. And I believe that according to Meltzer, what he said was the original finish, and maybe you could help me out here, is that that DQ thing was supposed to happen with like 30 seconds left in the match. And Certainly. Then The Rock was supposed to build up a comeback, and he was supposed to have the visual pinfall right as time ran out. But they didn't get to that aspect of it to give the babyface hope spot where he really got screwed out.
Yeah.
Do you remember that being the fit? Like, how do you remember it?
Yeah, that's exactly what was supposed to happen. But there's contingency plans too, and then people, having, backup plans and things on the fly. So it's, often, especially with something like this, it's not like, that didn't work. What do we do? Deer in headlights. No, it went to to this, and which really was great. And really, if you break it down, the crowd was so hot. Everything was built so big that even it's kind of cheap when you think of it, of like McMahon-Helmsley coming down, when in the beginning he's called them like, no, you need to stay back. I'm doing this alone. And then they just run in. It's kind of like, if the Undertaker weren't there, that would have been like, oh, kind of cheap, but you just knew the back pocket, like nothing matters. People could think that's cheap or whatever because the fucking Undertaker's going to show up after so long. And the big money was like him in that big goddamn duster being so huge and delivering those punches and clearing that ring. It was kind of sketchy. It was but it was like, it was such energy, and that kind of like fucked up chaos kind of worked, like with, oh my God, what's happening? And people were just losing their fucking mind. It's one of those things where like, yeah, that wasn't good. And that timing was a little off. And he kind of didn't even shut off the motorcycle. I think there was a little deal there when he was getting, you know what I mean? You could really break down a lot of things, but it's like, didn't matter. It was just stupendous overall. And it just completely worked. And in my mind, it was so great because you think of like, okay, what do we have to explain the next show? It's like, oh, is Shawn Michaels and Triple H together? Didn't really seem like it. Is Shawn Michaels just trying to do a job, and a good job, and caught between no pun intended, a rock and a hard place, and the Rock got screwed, and the Undertaker's back? Does Rock have heat with the Undertaker because he caught? You know what I mean? There's so many things that are just like, oh, this is great. It's like a booker's dream. Like, oh, there's all this stuff to clean up that all just moves. Everyone has these like, these conundrums, and it's like, it's great. It's just like easy. Cause then when what's worse is when a pay-per-view kind of ends with like, oh, the heels rule or whatever. And then you're the next day like, okay, shit, what do we do tomorrow? How do we restart things? Where this is like, oh, it's all there. It's like a million storylines all converge.
You have Undertaker versus Triple H. You have Rock versus Triple H. Rock versus Undertaker. Yeah, like you said, there's so many possibilities here. And Undertaker is a top guy. He's in the top guy thing. Like, he's already, you don't have to establish him as a main eventer. Yeah. And I was genuinely shocked as a 16-year-old watching this. I was not as up on the dirt sheets. And even though it seemed like common knowledge, I did not know the Undertaker was coming. I didn't even put together that those segments were teasing the Undertaker. So it was such a pleasant surprise. Also, he's been gone for almost a year now. So you kind of forgot about him even. And not only
he was hurt, and then he had a setback.
Right. Yeah. He had to be. And then not only is he back, he's back and transformed into this new character. This is the first time we're seeing what is eventually known as the American Badass Undertaker, which is such a funny name out of context. He's the American Badass. that's America's Badass.
Yeah. I agree.
But this ended up being a great run for Undertaker, and then he eventually ends up teaming with Kane again. They do another Brothers of
he's going to come back and all that.
It's going to be so good.
There's so much stuff to go. And you also are like, is he coming back to help? Because why did he go in and do all that? Because he's sick of McMahon-Helmsley regime? Is he, you know what I mean? And now they're not just like dominating. Is he going to team with there's just like, so many questions in a good way to be answered. So that was really good.
Absolutely.
Booker's dream when shit ends like this, put it that way.
Meltzer called it the best pay-per-view of the year, and it's hard to disagree. I feel like this even was more exciting than Backlash, which I thought at the time was the best pay-per-view of the year.
Yeah, so I think in some ways, and only like super wrestling dorks would say this, but like it's a little bit of apples and oranges. They're kind of different pay-per-views in a way. But this one was like so tight and a little bit, I think, maybe more unexpected, because you said, it's like, oh, it's just this one came out of, which I was like, came out of nowhere in a way. And like you fairly said, like, oh, that second match, they were kind of flat. But when you really look at all the matches, like, where the hell else were you going to put that? And like, that's just something that's like, I think they just got too over adrenalized and were a little flat for one of the matches. I don't think there's any. Now that I really look at it and think of it, there's nothing you could have done, really, right? I mean, You could act like, oh, could you have put Benoit and Jericho second, and that's a singles? Man, maybe they would have sat on their hands for that too, just because they were over adrenalized. I don't know, So, but yeah, it was huge.
Yeah, so
and
very,
also
very fun show.
Just McMahon having to do that slow swimming walk when like I'm disoriented, you know what I mean? Like that timing that when he was in the in that spot in the ring, like, and the face, it's like he's just gold every time.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very excited for Raw.
Yeah.
Very excited for King of the Ring. Things are on the up and up with the. I feel like April was a little slow. May things pick up, and now we're in the summer months where you got to. We're on the road to SummerSlam.
And here's the thing, too. Frankly, just the appearance and the presence is a better word of the Undertaker there and in the locker room made everyone.
Yeah,
all across the board.
Leader.
He affected the Iron Man match too, just by being like, oh, now we got, and also just like, say what you will, sometimes heat between Triple H and The Rock, sure, but they both were like, oh, this is, which makes wrestling so fascinating because it's two guys that aren't pals, working together, but are in some ways, opponents, and then pulling this off and relying on each other and the timing and everything. And they're both at the top of their game. No pun intended. Mm-hmm. But
well, some pun
intended. I did like in the beginning, Triple H, he said the same thing twice. I can't remember it. Because I'm going to do this all by myself. So I need you to leave because I'm doing this alone or something like
that. Yeah.
Didn't you just say it? But yeah.
Well,
but even that McMahon's face just on that, God damn it, he just fucking kills me. I can't deny it. When he gives that look, what are you saying? Or just those facials are just like, God damn it, it's too funny.
So great show. I'm very, very excited to see where things go from here.
Where things are going, Rob. It happened 25 years ago.
I know, but the little details are what's exciting to me too. Right, like things I don't remember. Like I didn't really quite remember. Like I remember, honestly, I didn't remember the Triple H left the match winning. For some reason in my head, I remember Undertaker helped like save The Rock or something like that. So that was even a surprise.
Well, he kind of did. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was a great way to get the title back on Triple H and have The Rock hunting again.
Yeah, and it's almost the problem with sometimes it makes booking like harder. This was so convoluted, this ending with all these characters, and you can't just write that. You have to realize that, like, why did this convoluted mess work? Oh, because everyone's entrenched in their abilities and their timing and their storyline. They're all, you know what I mean? So sometimes when you're booking something, and even me seeing the writing on the wall of wanting to leave is like, you can't just replicate that with like new characters. You can't just be like, yeah, make this big multi-layered thing. And you're like, no, it's going to be a fucking disaster because people don't have the timing and they don't know this and they don't give a shit. This was this gelling of everything. And Shawn Michaels coming back and the Undertaker coming back. You don't realize like how like
Shawn Michaels added so much. I don't even remember he was the special ref. Yeah, he added a lot.
It's a perfect storm of all this stuff. You can't just sometimes break it down. So, a special referee causing this and, doing the Venn diagram of like, here's how it's, you needed the Undertaker gone for a year, adding this element, all these things add up. And the actual, like when you lay out the booking was like, yeah, you could break it apart and like, really? They were sent away and then they just came back, all of them, you know what I mean? But it's like, no, because this, and then,
right. It made total sense for them to come back out. They were like really worried, like, oh God, we only have a few minutes. We got to make sure. Yeah.
And even then it could have been shitty if it weren't for like, doesn't matter because I hear a motorcycle. Holy shit, it's the Undertaker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That overrode, like, hey, it was gonna, doesn't matter because you just even knew. And then the Undertaker shows up. Well, what happens? The place goes bonkers. and he clears the ring. How many times have we seen someone come and clear the ring? Whatever. But he clears the ring in this moment with his big, weird, new, shiny duster coat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With his new look.
good.
Yeah, no, it's great. What did you think of the show? We'd love to hear from you. tftattitudeera@gmail.com. That's the email address. And of course, please follow us on social media. Come on.
Yeah.
Don't beg. Attitude Era.
Don't beg. Don't beg, Rob.
On Instagram. Are you begging me not to beg? We're on TikTok.
Yeah, don't beg, please. Don't beg.
And we'll see you next time on Tales from the Attitude Era.